Our big story tonight, horrifying new information on an I-Team report we've been following for this past year. Good evening, I'm Tram Mai.
And I'm Mitch Carr. Mark and Caribe have the night off. We are learning more about a previous investigation into the sexual abuse of several patients at Hacienda Healthcare.
This happening more than a decade before an incapacitated woman was raped and impregnated at the long-term care facility. Team 12's Bianca Bono joins us now with the disturbing details in this I-Team update. Bianca?
Well, guys, in a lawsuit filed on behalf of the incapacitated woman and her family, lawyers allege there were 5 Hacienda Healthcare patients possibly sexually abused back in 2002, including her. We're now learning, though, that number is actually 7.
The baby's turning blue, baby's turning blue.
The news shocking everyone, even the nurses taking care of her.
One of our patients just had a baby and we had no idea she was pregnant.
In December 2018, a woman who lived at Hacienda Healthcare since she was 3 years old in a near vegetative state was raped and gave birth. In May of 2019, Phoenix police telling 12 News, detectives have worked diligently in an attempt to determine if the victim in this case was sexually assaulted more than once. However, they have not been able to identify any other instances. But now, Phoenix police confirming there was a report filed in May of 2002 alleging 7 disabled patients at Hacienda were possibly sexually abused. One of those possible victims, the same incapacitated woman. In 2002, she was only 13. A police spokesperson saying the Arizona Department of Health Services investigated the matter. State officials interviewing 22 employees, finding that there were acts of verbal abuse and sexual harassment, but could not substantiate claims of physical or sexual abuse. Based on the state's findings, some Hacienda employees were fired, but the Phoenix police investigator handling the case closed it due to, quote, insufficient information to support a criminal complaint. A lawsuit recently filed by the victim and her family alleges she was repeatedly raped. Doctors who examined the woman after she gave birth, noting a history of vaginal penetration or trauma prior to that delivery. And the woman's nurse, Nathan Sutherland, has been charged with her rape and will go to trial next month. According to the lawsuit, he was alone with the victim hundreds of times, despite explicit orders from the woman's parents that she have female staff only. Sutherland did not work at the facility in 2002. Guys, back over to you.
Bianca, thank you. If you have a story idea you want the I-Team to look into, send us an email to connect@12news.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook and Twitter pages.